What's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Ramstock. Thank you for watching the I Just Took a Shower, Drinking a Beer, Hard Knocks birthday edition of Ramstock. Now, there are a lot of new people to the channel, so thank you for subscribing. If you are watching this for the first time, hit the subscribe button here that's in the video the whole time, so just bam, pop on that and join the community. For all of the legacy subscribers and members of the Ramstock community, thank you for watching. Bill, love the comments. Keep them coming, everyone. Let me know what you thought about the first episode of Hard Knocks. You can also find me on Twitter at RealLARamstock, Instagram at LA Ramstock. So yeah, let's talk about Hard Knocks. And man, I mean, like, this, watching Hard Knocks made me realize just how starved I was for football content and Rams content. I mean, how lucky are we that we're, out of all the fans and, across the nation, we are the ones getting a look at our team. And then, like, the 5 Charger fans get a look at their team. Now, speaking of the Chargers, I don't have anything against the Chargers. In fact, I actually, when they were in San Diego, I actually liked the Chargers. They were in the AFC, so we didn't compete against them. San Diego is a chill town. My sister lives there. So, the LaDainian Tomlinson, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates. I mean, it was just, going against the Patriots. I always took the side of the Chargers. They're kind of like my California team while the Rams were in St. Louis. So, nothing against the Chargers. It's just a couple of these squeaky fans that are quacking about, trying to make this a rivalry. It's not to me, I don't care. It's not a rivalry for LA. The Chargers don't own LA. They have no legacy in LA. You go to StubHub the last couple of years, barely any fans. So, like, I never really bought into the hatred, the rivalry of the two teams for LA, all right? It's like, let's just be secure. Like, it's Lakers, Clippers. It's Dodgers, Angels. It's Rams, Chargers. Like, that's what it is. So let's just enjoy. To me, the Chargers stuff was just good football content, good insight. Because believe it or not, the Chargers are have a lot of talent. And so I'm going to go through this here in kind of like chronological order of what happened in the episode. So, I mean, it starts off, and it starts off with the Chargers, and you're like, oh yeah, the Chargers, like a team I'm just not even paying attention to, right? Then you get Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn seems like a cool guy. Anthony Lynn seems like a guy I want to barbecue with. Like, that looked delicious. So, I mean, he looked like he was a grill, like a pit master. So, Anthony Lynn, if you're ever having a barbecue, you want to invite me, I'm down. So, I think Anthony Lynn is a cool dude. I think he's a good coach. Had COVID. I guess that was a revelation. So, he got it he realized he had it by watching TV, and then he went and got tested, and it came up positive. So he's the third coach behind Sean Payton and Doug Peterson to get COVID. So that was a very interesting situation there. I think, the players will listen to him about things now that he comes out with it. So then, going a little bit forward in the episode, when it goes to the Rams, I want to talk about 2 people who are just as instrumental, if not more so, than anyone on the roster or any coach. And that's Reggie Scott, Senior Director of Medicine and Performance, and Sophie Harlan, Director of Football Operations. Like, those are the ones everything you saw in this episode. This whole first episode was all about the work that those 2 did, along with other staff members, to make it a safe and compliant environment. Everything, like, they're on it. Like, that's their job. They're probably working 15-hour days around the clock, making sure that everything is as it should be. Because the teams that deal with COVID and manage this whole situation better, or the best, are going to be the teams that have the best chance this season. Like, a quarterback goes down, you have a Miami Marlins situation, St. Louis Cardinals situation, where it spreads through the clubhouse like wildfire. What if Goff goes down? What if Aaron Donald goes down? What if the defensive line or offensive line goes down, right? So these 2 people, Harlan and Scott, they're going to be our behind-the-scenes rock stars. So all positive vibes of those two for making sure the Rams, the Rams are on top and handle COVID. That huge tent that they had gotten that a couple of years ago and didn't need it, and so Jordan Rodrigue of The Athletic had mentioned that the Rams had an edge to their COVID compliance. And this is what she was referring to, was this massive tent that I don't think any other team has this tent. So it allows the Rams to function in a much more natural environment because it's open. It's an open area tent, so it's outside, but it's inside. I think also being in California helps facilitate that, right? So players are outside, but they're taking their meetings inside. They're walking right out to the weights and everything. So it makes the open air, social distancing aspect a lot easier for the Rams, something that no other team really has. So I thought that was pretty interesting to see that, all the guys. What about all the guys cleaning up, like doing all the things that they wouldn't normally have to do, like all the Clorox wiping and like you had the one dude had the automatic sprayer of like Purell on the bench. I mean, that's real deal. So, I mean, there's like a battle going on. There's a battle going on behind the scenes. And this episode kind of showed some light on that. So, and it's another thing about this episode is, and you saw it a couple times, but it's good to see this other side of Sean McVay, because he's always been, to me, very coach speak. And yet, aside from his knowledge and his enthusiasm and his charisma, it just seemed very, I'm saying a lot of things maybe without saying them, right? And I know a lot of coaches have to be safe in how they speak. They don't want to tip their hand or give too much away. But this, there was a lighter side to him, with his dog, with his fiance, with his sweet house. A couple things, like the port-o-potty thing at the end, I'll talk about at the end. But one of the things he said, Ramstock is usually a PG channel, but it's my birthday, having a beer, all bets are off. He said, I fucking love football and I love all you guys. You gotta love that. You gotta love playing for a guy like that. So, Sean McVay kind of seemed a little more relatable and a little more lighthearted. And, when he was putting on the face visor, that was funny. The porta-potty thing was funny. He just seemed, I think, maybe a little more comfortable in his job. And, the pandemic has changed everyone. Let's be honest about that. So Sean McVay was actually pretty funny. And let's just talk about Sean McVay for a minute. First year, playoffs. Second year, Super Bowl. Missed the playoffs that last year. But, this guy's been everything we've needed. So, just good watching McVay with that humor. McVay and Lynn, those seem like two solid coaches. Or they are two solid coaches. So, cheers to those guys. Now, moving on, I think there's one thing that, everyone knows and everyone can relate to. And when you see Aaron Donald sit down to get the needle, you're like, look at this guy. Aaron Donald is a beast. He's Hulk, right? How's a needle even going to fit in his arm? It's going to break. But Aaron Donald's afraid of needles. They're all afraid of needles. No one wants a needle in them. Who wants a needle in their arm, right? But when you see these guys, these heroes, these warriors, they go in there and they're afraid of us. At first I thought that swab was going to be, I've seen those swabs before where they go all the way up. They're like tickling your brain. But this one was just like a rim, just like barely in there. And these guys were freaking out about that, right? I can understand if they thought it was the deep swab, but there's just like just right in there. These are football players who get concussions, hitting with their heads, being tough, needles, swabs, at the end of the day, they're still guys. So I think, just what Hard Knocks does is it just lets you in there and sees these people, these players as just regular guys, afraid of needles, afraid of swabs. dealing with the pandemic. So that I thought was pretty interesting. Another thing, when it showed Joey Bosa stretching, with the tattoo on his leg, just reminded me I need to do more stretching. So I'm getting up there in age. These guys, you see them all the time, they're stretching, right? Imagine if you stretch for, like a half hour every day. So I just was like, I need to do more stretching. These guys are just like, they're football players. They're not doing anything. They're just stretching. Another Joey Bosa thing. I had never really heard Joey Bosa talk before. Being in LA, San Diego and LA, I never really watched the interviews of Joey Bosa, and he just seemed very normal. Like, I thought he was going to be flashy. I guess that's his brother, more flashy. But he seemed like a humble guy, right? So just getting to know Joey Bosa, who is a star. Joey Bosa now, I think, is a higher paid player than Aaron Donald. What? So Aaron Donald, let's get 20 sacks this year and show Joey Bosa how it's done, okay? Because Joey Bosa's good, like really good, but he's not Aaron Donald level at all. Okay, Dante Dion. Okay, Dante Dion, I think everyone can agree. You saw the previews of him, looking like a greyhound with a rib. Fun, spark plug, right? Dante Dion, I remember last year when Vinny Bonsignore still had the Rams beat, and he was talking about Dante Dion, like, hey guys, there's this little dude, Dante Dion, who's going to make some noise. And he was a practice squad guy last year, came up in November. He was originally an undrafted free agent out of Boise State with the Giants, New York Giants, but then the Rams got him. And he was just, I guess, waiting for his time. Because a lot of undrafted free agents, like I've said before, are just as good as first, second, third, fourth round guys, but they just don't have that tag on them. Like, they were picked in a certain round, so the teams aren't married to them like they are other players. Like, he could be, I'm not saying he is, but hypothetically, he could be better than David Long. But David Long is going to get more of an opportunity than Dante Dion because he was drafted in the third round. So anyways, Dante Dion, okay, we got Ramsey, we got Hill, we got Darius Williams, David Long, Dante Dion. Like, that's the mix. It wouldn't surprise me to see Dante Dion on the active roster, not on the practice squad. So let's just see, is he an outside corner or a slot guy? Where is he? But that's funny. Projects versus suburbs. I mean, like, he's relatable, right? Just fun guy. I'm glad he's on the Rams. Huge fan of Dante Dion. Jalen Ramsey, right? So, come on. Who here, raise your hand if you think the Rams are not going to sign Jalen Ramsey to an extension. No hands being raised. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Why would they trade the draft picks and the draft capital for someone that they were kind of like, maybe we will sign them, maybe we won't? Like, it's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure between his agent and Demoff or whoever with the Rams, they basically put like a timeline together of when it's going to be done and kind of a basic structure of what the deal will look like. So that's why in his head, he's like, listen, I know I'm getting it. I just have to wait for X date on the calendar, and then I'm going to be the highest paid cornerback. I'm not worried about it. I love LA. I love this team. I want to be in this new stadium. I'm looking for houses. That's what he said on the virtual tailgate. So like when the reporters, Gary Klein and Lindsey Terry, when they keep pressing him about how are you feeling about the contract, is that weighing on you and play the season, he's been consistent ever since about his contract. And I would like to have seen, like, if he's honest and he's like, listen, I'm not worried about it because I know and I can't tell you that it's going to be taken care of. Like, I know it, but I can't tell you. So just stop talking to me about it because I'm not worried about it. He said, I'm genuinely not worried about it, right? There are a million other questions you can ask Jalen Ramsey. Like, how is being in camp with the Rams compared to being in camp with the Jags? How are you acclimating to Los Angeles and your new teammates? What did you work on in the off season? Like, what did you feel you needed to get better at? How do you feel you match up with the top receivers in the NFC West? How do you like the coaching for the wide receiver coach or the D-back, Aubrey Pleasant and the D-backs coach? Like, how there are a million things you can ask except for this. Like, no one thinks that he's not going to re-sign. No one. So just, like, get creative with your question. Think about it. Ask him different things. There are a million other things you can talk to Jalen Ramsey about. He is one of the top 3 best cornerbacks in the NFL. There is stuff you can talk to him about. And he's an engaging guy. So, like, I don't blame him for that. Right? So, anyway, I'm speaking of Ramsey, I'm excited to see what he's going to look like as a Ram. Full year with JJ, with Troy Hill, like the whole, like the starting group. Like, I'm excited. I'm excited to have one of the best cornerbacks and one of the best linemen in football starting the season together. So, anyways, that's Jalen Ramsey. This one's for you, bud. You know, sign a contract already. Let's see what else. Okay, so 2 last things. One of the things was they showed Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen went to Cal. Living in LA, Pac-12 guy, right? UCLA, USC, Cal, Stanford, all those, you know, that's what I get in my feed. So I knew who Keenan Allen was going into that draft, the 2013 draft, right? He went pick 76th overall, and he was one of the better receivers in the whole nation. Do you know who the first receiver was taken in that draft? Number 8, Tavon Austin. Tavon Austin, right? So, I mean, Les Snead has had a lot of hits, but Tavon Austin, here are players that went. Now, that's an interesting draft. Go look at the 2013 draft results. You're going to see a lot of names you know. But that was the Eric Fisher, Luke Jokel draft, right? So kind of a weird one at the beginning, but DeAndre Hopkins was taken like 27th or 20-something, 27th, I think. Cordarrelle Patterson was taken 29th. So Tavon, Hopkins, Cordarrelle, receivers taken in the first round. Right after Cordarrelle, the Rams had another pick. I think that was still from the Redskins, Alec Ogletree. Not bad. Alec Ogletree was pretty solid for us for a couple of years. But then receivers taken after Ogletree, Justin Hunter out of Tennessee. University of Tennessee was taken. Didn't pan out at all. Robert Woods taken at 41 by the Buffalo Bills. Aaron Dobson taken by the Patriots. Terrence Williams taken by the Cowboys. And then Keenan Allen at 76. The Rams had 2 or 3 opportunities to take Keenan Allen. And they took Tavon Austin. They could have taken DeAndre Hopkins. They could have taken Robert Woods. So why I'm talking about this is there's been 2 drafts in recent memory where the Rams just went with the first receiver taken in the draft. They went with like the wrong guy. The other one was with Brian Quick. They took Brian Quick over Deshaun Jackson, another Cal Bear, who I was like, who's Brian Quick? Why aren't you taking Deshaun Jackson or Alshon Jeffrey? Right? Like, those guys are known college stars. So, you know, you don't always hit on everything, which goes to, I'm sure, after the draft, or going into this draft, everyone was ranking Tavon and DeAndre and all these guys as like, you know, Mel Kiper, all these guys saying they're so good. You know, all this or that, you know, this is why they're taken this high, but it's a crapshoot. So this year was very heavy on wide receivers, right? And the Rams took Van Jefferson 57th overall, way before Keenan Allen was taken. And people are going, they're not thinking about Van Jefferson. But Van Jefferson could be Keenan Allen, right? Henry Ruggs could be a bust. A lot of guys taken before Van Jefferson, who the analysts say, a lot of these guys, T. Higgins could be a bust. right? John Ross was like, so many receivers bust, and a lot of good ones get picked in the second and third and fourth rounds. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, right? So Keenan Allen, Van Jefferson. So don't worry about what the analysts say. Let's just see what happens. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is, I did notice the offensive line that Jared Goff was standing behind when he wasn't allowed to throw the ball. Whitworth, Corbett, Blythe, Edwards, Havenstein. Yep. So, I mean, not sure if that's because Noteboom still like rehabbing the injury. I don't know if that was like an injury thing and just kind of taking the baby steps with Noteboom, or if that was like, this is how we're rolling until during this preseason, someone emerges and we switch. But that's how they rolled it out. So something to keep an eye on for the next episode. The last thing actually is the port-o-potty. Sean McVay's totally right. I know he's joking, but he's totally right. My family and I, we just took a road trip in an RV. I live in Germany. We went down to France, southern part of Germany, and the RV has a toilet. But it was kind of like, it was an unwritten rule, or it was a written rule, actually. No number twos in the toilet. We have two small kids. So my wife and I, we had to find restaurants and things like that. But if the kid had to go and you're at the RV, number two, you got to go in there. You got to do it. But it's just kind of like, it's just for number ones. You have to be considerate. You have to think about things. You got to plan it out. So kind of like, that was like two weeks ago. So that's very fresh recall for me. So I know, hey, if the other toilets are in the building, you can't go in the building, what are you going to do? Right? So anyways, it's gross. It's gross, but funny. It's funny. It's potty humor. Anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, or you want to check up a couple of my other videos, you can check them out. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to have another episode coming out very soon about the kicker situation. Got a lot of other content coming out. So anyways, let me know what you thought about this episode of Hard Knocks. And as always, go Rams.